an image. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, let's see, got it. We're going to do a screenshot with the main screen and then a bunch of participants with their pictures showing so that you can put on the Facebook for the PSA, right?
Right, for the local, it's Southern
Chapter.
California.
Right. Okay. All right. And we're doing that at the end.
Oh, look, there it is.
There
And
it
let's
is.
see,
There it
can you
is.
see my cursor?
No, not yet. I'm
Oh.
just going to give you control.
But let me give all your accolades first.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Joanne, I just press the button to give you control. I believe you have to press a button to,
What button do I press?
You should see a yellow one across the top of your screen, and then sort of in the middle, it'll just give you a little message saying that you can have control.
You can control Rodney Cooper Camera
That's
Club of, should I click on that?
yes.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Do you see my cursor now?
No, it still says waiting for Joanne.
It says I'm viewing Rodney still.
Okay, view options. Wait a minute. Ooh,
No,
No, you don't want to mess with view options.
no.
There you are. Now you're controlling now.
Oh, do you
Yes, we
see?
see your
Ah,
cursor.
Now
it
I
even
see it.
looks different.
There you go.
It's not just a little itty bitty cursor. It's a great big pointer.
You should be
Yes.
happy.
Yeah, can you see it?
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, so let me do a not so brief introduction of you, and then we'll turn it over to you, and you can say whatever your heart's desire says, okay? So many of the people here know Joanne Stolte. She has judged for us many times. The last time was in 2021, so it's been a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to be semi-brief because there are so many initials after her name that I actually don't even know what most of them are. So Joanne earned the International Photography Masters and Excellence distinctions of the Photographic Society of America. She was general chair of the Southern California Council of Camera Clubs International Exhibition from 2001 to 2017. She's a respected international judge for the Welsh, the Great British Small Print Circuit.
Oh, that's not my brief one. This is the
Well,
long one.
It says brief on it, and I compared
Oh.
it to the long one, and it's at least 10 lines shorter. So.
Oh, okay. Because I thought I didn't mention all of the names of them to make it shorter. And you've got the Welsh in there already, so.
I got Welsh, Great Britain, photo for PSA, China,
Yeah, this is the long one.
Poland, the Holland Circuit, Vietnam, Germany, Australia, and Romania. So there you go, international. She served on the PSA Board of Directors from 2005 to 2010, and as Information Systems Vice President 2010 to 2011. She's chair of the Southern California chapter of PSA and the PSA Journal PID News Editor. She chaired the Nominating and International Understanding Through Photography Award Committees. So she's a trained PSA portfolio assessor and has served on that committee since its beginning. She's developing an online portfolio course and instructor training. For her exceptional service, she received the President's Award in 2009, was elected honorary member in 2018, received the PSA Volunteer Award in 2019, and a Teaching Award in 2020. So this goes on. There is more, but I think you get the idea.
That's not the shorter one. I'm sorry.
She's definitely qualified to judge our images.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that right now I do a lot of Zoom meetings, one for the portfolio program. And so I'm used to working one-on-one with somebody, either for the course or if somebody submitted a portfolio and they get a resubmit. And then right now I'm helping people fill out applications. And so
cool.
I love having my cursor and being able to point things out.
Oh, good. Well, you'll be in heaven tonight then.
Yes, yes.
So we're going to turn it over to you. And Rodney will be in charge of letting you know if any technical things are coming up, and I will try to keep track of the scores.
Yes, please, because I don't have the the thing.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, so actually, can I? Yes,
Yes,
I can, even with my keyboard.
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so non-scored,
A winning
im-
style.
pardon?
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
Rodney's going to announce the names for you.
Okay,
Winning style.
yeah, this is great composition. Look how we have a beautiful curve here. The board is going here. There's plenty of space around. Nice red shirt. So many times when we get surfers these days, you know, they're in black and it just doesn't make a great pictorial image. This red is great. And we see enough of the board here and here so that that gives us something. The only problem is these droplets should be really sharp as a tack. So where the maker was able to stop the action of the surfer this way, but didn't stop all of the wave here, and the splash of the wave, the way it would be to be a really fine image. So this is good in the composition, but please try a little bit of sharpening. And I would use an unsharp mask because it won't be too much. You might, if you know how to mask out the surfer and then just sharpen this part. Because I think if this was sharpened, this would raise it, you know, right to a really high level. Now, this would probably do reasonably well if it was scored, but it could be even better if it was sharp. Okay. Okay.
Autumn leaves.
Yeah. This has great color, and it's so nice to see something from the fall and autumn, and it gives you a nice feeling. But there's two potential problems here. One, all this white background that's just taking away from our leaves here. Now, I don't know what the situation is here. I know we have the last section, what's it called?
Artistic expression.
Yes. Okay. So is it that people are only supposed to use artistic expression in that section and can't in any other section?
It depends on the rules for the for the section. With pictorial, the major rule is that if you make any changes, it should still be end up with something that could have been a valid actual picture.
Yeah.
So yes, you could do something about the background.
Yeah. Okay. I think with most pictorial images today, people do take care of backgrounds with masking, things like that, and they use filters a lot. And I know now that's for the last section. But here, I think if the maker had taken these leaves and maybe put them down on something or something like that, and where this one, notice this is its end, this is probably its top. Maybe even if this was flipped 180, it might be better. But just generally for leaves, make sure you don't have the background. You could do a still life with a group of very colorful leaves and come up with something. Here, you really have one that's in focus. These others, not just the white background, but the others aren't in focus and they detract from it. Even these pieces here. So take this as hopefully a learning tool. If you want to do some leaves, get a pile of leaves, get them all of the same general tonality, same light, either coming through or coming on top of it. You could go to a pile of liquid ambers and just shoot them and maybe do a little bit better than this might be. Okay. Okay.
Sailor through the windscreen.
Yeah, handsome dude. Now, it turns out, you see that there's a haze here. We have a general haze over thing. Nice blue sky here, which goes in with the blue jacket. And that makes it very nice. And even these sails and other parts, they actually bring out the hair color and make a nice background and say who this person is or what this person loves and their passion. So that all works. This negative space over here is good. The only problem is the haze that's in here that just does not work. And that would keep this from almost anything, where you can see here, there isn't the haze and it comes in here. It's probably reflection off the water, off a reflection of something on the boat, you know, a very shiny varnished surface, or even something from the jacket. But that does keep this image from doing any better. Okay, so hopefully those folks were helped. So we go into pictorial, and
Are you looking at me?
yes, I am. And we all are. And you're naked. We have a really neat mantis. You know, so often when we see them in our garden, they're green because they're blending in with the leaves and all. And here, this guy's out on some gray thing, and so he's gone into his brown sorts of colors. Nice detail. We've got the eyes, the antennae, details of all these little bumps and things on him. I think, you know, there's two things to think about. If you were doing this for nature, you'd want him in with leaves, not something that is truly man-made. But if we're looking at this pictorially, which we are, perhaps an angle. So if, you know, we don't know where this is from or what it is. So the maker probably could tilt it up on the right, down on the left, and there's plenty of room here to do that, and then just crop it so that that would be the way it went. I think that would give a little more interest to it. Right now, you know, there's no big color impact. And, you know, we see a nice guy, but, you know, that's it. You know what, Louise, why don't you read what was there? Can you do that? Or are you mute? Is that it?
I'm not sure whether she's mute or
There,
not.
I was muted, sorry. You wrote angle, question mark. Do
Oh,
you-
yeah, not that. No, I've got the comments. Can you read the score?
Oh, 7.5.
Thank you.
Yes,
Okay, that, I think we can do it this way. Yeah,
okay,
we don't
that's,
want to read the comments, please.
okay,
You can see I can kind of handle that. Okay,
Right.
yeah.
next. Okay,
Oi,
let me look at this.
Lantern Lady.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Look at the
Okay.
great color here. And a pictorial image to have great impact needs to have some kind of either strong color or strong lines or things like that. Now, interestingly, the maker caught the gal's face and her body. So even though these are quite around her, they're not totally covering her. And we do see her face, which is just so lovely. And the fact that she's got her shoes off and her feet up, you know, and even her toe kind of curled, you know, she's quite relaxed. And the whole setting with these things to kind of stop it as your eye comes in and goes over is quite nice. Louise,
8.
thank you.
After Sunset.
Okay, we've got two things that are really nice here. One, this set of automobiles, which are nicely spaced from here to here to here. So there's more space with the ones closer to us than further away. They go from lighter to darker in the front, smaller, medium, larger as the perspective comes. So we've got some nice automobiles, whether they were parked that way to mean something or they're just parked. And then we've got this nice sky. And right now they're basically competing. It's not like one is fitting inside the other and helping one another. A lot of this sky, look at all this area here, really isn't doing anything. So it could be, if we actually went and just cropped right off here, we'd be in pretty good shape. And then do we need all of this? So maybe our image would be stronger if we had the color here and those automobiles. but it is a very different thing because usually when you're out in nature, you're not just showing automobiles unless it's like one and it's very different, and you've got either an antique car or, a very modern car or a red sports car or something. So you have to think about the sensibility and what and why and how you did it. Louise?
7.5.
Fall leaves.
What kind of leaves?
Fall.
Yes. Okay. Now, kind of sit back, and you could even walk across the room and you would see some lovely oranges in here, the bright, darker orange and the light orange. You'd see some yellow, but you'd also see some of these very, 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 normally you'd say white, but they're hot. When we're looking at an image, these are hot spots. So whether they're the reflection of the light on a yellow leaf, which it probably is, they're probably not white leaves. So what we've got is a very contrasty image of the orange and yellow with the white, and a very hot image. Now, this could be solved in a couple of ways. One, I highly recommend using shadow and highlight. Okay, that if you put it in Photoshop, make a layer, go to shadow and highlight, and just play with the two little lines, you would find the one that worked on highlights. And if you just toned those highlights down, this could be quite saved. The other thing is, it's very horizontal here. Now, that's the way the maker saw it. But what if you cropped it right about here and got rid of all of this? Just put your arm up and look at where the trees are behind, the trunks are behind, and then this color. That might make it stronger and make it more with the color in with the forest, rather than this bright part of some leaves. Louise?
Scored 6.5.
Thank you.
Strength in the foundation.
Yeah, it's not just in the foundation here, it's in the lines, the geometry, the lines, the cleanliness of this. You have a topic coming up later this year, minimalism. And that is becoming such a topic in many, many competitions now. And there are several people around the world, either this maker or somebody who's into it. Google Barbara Schmidt in Germany. She is leading the way in a lot of these things. Look at the simplistic lines. We have this creamy color. It does get lighter here, but it's just so blended in. Even the shades here with a little bit darker cream and a little darker there. You might even take off the roof or just make it just the lines and take out the little tiles inside. Here, the tiles are a little more prominent, but just the simple lines, it makes such a very strong statement. Many times when you're doing a building, you want to get 3-dimension. So you want this, oh, excuse me. Whoop. You want this side, I hit my mouse, and this side to give it 3-dimension. And that does a little bit, but this almost looking 2-dimensional has almost greater strength as a minimalist image. Louise?
8.5.
Okay.
Orange radiance.
Yeah, we have a nice stem with several little buds, some that are blooming, some that are waiting and standing up, and some that are still going to come out. One thing to think about, particularly the way we look at things here, is that instead of having this going in this direction, if it came from the lower left to the upper right, it might be stronger. We read from right to left, so you wouldn't want to enter this in something in Asia necessarily. You might want to put it this way, but here or in Europe, South America, Africa, you'd really want it to go in this direction. Also, again, notice the background. As I mentioned in the previous one where we had hot spots and all, now we have a nice dark area here, but then we have obviously other blooms in the background, but you can use a healing tool and just kind of blend all of this together. May even, soften this up a little, or you can mask it and make it all black behind, and then maybe make an orange stroke around it. Those aren't that creative or all, changing it. And we've got some nice detail here. Some parts, like this is a little soft in here, but the maker had the depth of field for this particular flower. Louise?
7 for orange radiance.
Hang tight.
Okay. Okay, watch. Where's your eye going? There's so much here. Wow. You can go up here and see this piece of wood. You can follow this. Then you can see, oh, look at this rusty thing. And then, oh, look at this worm here. Oh, more rust here. Oh, look at this. Oh, look up here. Oh, look here. Oh, there's a lighter spot there. There's an awful lot here. We got a red background, dark, and all sorts of colors here. And what you have to think about, what's your center of interest, which basically is this wonderful curlicue, this additional curlicue, and how they're hanging on to the metal here. So what if you were to crop down here, over here? We don't need that other one going down, and maybe up here. Now we'd have something that's a nice story of these guys curling around this piece of metal. You'd have this dark part, this light part, but you wouldn't have all this here. And look at, this is all out of focus. So any area this large in an image that's all out of focus is not adding to an image. And even though this is in focus, it's not adding. Here's your wonderful story of two little, I know they've got a name, but I can't remember it. So you know what it is, going out and finding something and curling around. And even doing that, I would darken this. You can either blend it with this or just use shadow and highlight. Louise?
6.5.
Falling down.
Look at what we've got here. You can tell a sense of a time of year with the color of the fall leaves. You can see all sorts of angles here, here, here. And look at how this blue in the tin here matches the blue down here. So, and this blue, the dark green, and the yellow with the gray are all complementary tones. So they blend beautifully together. The maker got enough of a foreground in these grasses, but didn't blur them. Had enough of a depth of field to get this entire building and the things in the background. Now they weren't moving. That does help. You don't have to do so many tricks to make it stand still. The maker picked a nice color as their stroke. They picked up this pale blue, which looks kind of blue-gray. So that actually brings the whole thing together. Look how nice that looks up here. It not only separates it from the black background, but it holds it together. Very nicely done. Louise?
9.
Frozen.
Yeah. Can't you feel how cold it is here? You know, you're looking at it and that wonderful steam coming off the water. And then we've got the sun and we've got some glow here. Usually you'd have a little more sparkle in here. And I'd be tempted to even add a little sparkle in here. And that might, you know, sparkle up the image. We've got foreground, we've got a midground with the lake, and then we've got a background with the mountains and some clouds up here. Nicely, this is silhouetted, which helps and gives us a border. But, you know, if you're looking at something that would compete or whatever, you might want a little more color here. And by trying a little shadow and highlight, you might get that. You might even just tweak the saturation a little, and you might get a little more orange here that would kind of help it. You're not doing anything out of the ordinary. If you saturate it a little more, you get a little more blue up there, maybe a little more green in the tree. Louise?
8.
Drip drying.
Yes, yes. What is the greatest part about this? I mean, we've got beautiful wings and nice definition there and nice flight, but it's all these little sparkles and then the little circles where some of the little drips have already dropped. And that's what really makes this beautiful negative space here. You always want for something that's in motion, whether it's a truck or a person or a bird or a train or a plane, more in front. And look at beautiful distance there. But then this wonderful where he's left or the drops are left from and the legs behind. Notice how sharp it is here and throughout here. All you can see definition in all of these wings here and all the feathers here and a little bit of shadow, which is nice. It always depends on where the light's coming on a bird. Are you shooting it from underneath, above, you know, from off a cliff or aside? And here we've got enough light in the beak and the eye. You always want to see the eye and some nice shadow there. It's lovely. Louise?
8.5.
Friendly alien.
I didn't even read, see, I didn't read the title, so I didn't know that's what it was. I remember these as a kid. So I got to think that since we're all kind of in the same age group, maybe some of you had one of these things and how you twist it and move it around and all, and the top one moves and all. I haven't seen one forever. And these kind of look like new beads. I don't know what we had. It becomes kind of a still life when you take something and put it here. I think then when you're doing a still life, you have to look at your lighting. There's some parts here that don't go, you know, straight through. You don't see this piece. Down here, you don't see this part and this part and this part. And that's just because the light isn't there. It's not because it's covered up. What happened to the rest of this or the rest of this? It's just it has no light on it. Now you're in control of that. And particularly when you do still life, you have complete control. One of the best things about doing still life is the control that you have. So now if you only have one light source, you are kind of limited, but hopefully you'd have several and other things that you could put around to help a little bit with making this a little more complete as a stand, particularly where it's based, because it's kind of like what's it sitting on and what's it holding on to. I would have tended to make the stroke out of maybe one of these darker purples or a dark red. I think that would have helped it. I know the white kind of goes in with the metal, and that could be looked at as what was helping it also. So it kind of depends. You could try both. Louise?
8.
Worker bee, yellow flower.
Yeah. Okay. Here's some wonderful things. Look at the detail here, the delicacy of these petals. Look at all the pollen all around here. Then look at this pistil, the pollen on it, but the detail. Then our little bee, even with his the little shining on his back end. And we've got a lot of the little hairs on him. Now, our stamen here with the pollen on them are not as detailed and sharp. So the depth of field that the maker had was at the edge of the flower, went to the bee, which is raised up, and in here. This, which is lower, is not as sharp, but you can sharpen it. You can make a mask and just sharpen those areas. And if you just did just a little, that might help it. Also, this is very, very light. Now, if this was in nature, you can't do, what I'm saying here. You have to leave this, but this isn't. This is pictorial. There's no reason you can't just blend this very hot spot in so your eye doesn't come in and land here rather than here, which is your story. Okay, so there's one part. Beautiful flower, nice story of the bee. And now we got this guy. Out of focus, doesn't add to the image. This one, not as out of focus, but doesn't add to the story. Same with this one. So this is something where you may want to drop out the entire background, or maybe at least just crop down here so that you don't have so much of these things for your eye to go there, and your eye will concentrate more here. Louise?
8.5.
See, we have got this worked out now.
Yeah.
Sapphire.
I knew there'd be a
eyes.
way to find out where that thing was, or how to do it.
Sapphire eyes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, look at this. Okay, let's all take this in. Look at this. He's been preening, and look at the little itty bitties that he's captured there. But look at the detail in the beak. Look at the detail all around the eye and the shiny parts. And then the beautiful color here. Look at even the detail here and the detail down here and the detail here and the detail here. And then look at the differential focus, because now we've got nesting materials, rocks, background. It blends in as where, you know, the surrounding environment, but it's differentially focused. So this doesn't take away from how very sharp this is. Now, we're probably on a cliff. This is going off, but it's not all that clear in this particular case. You may want to just take a little bit of this off. It wouldn't hurt. We wouldn't be really, or you could purposefully crop even more, just so that we can concentrate on head and the sapphire eye. Louise?
9.
Yeah, what I was going to say, everybody guess.
Yeah.
Companionship.
Oh, okay. Right above me is a little black baby. Totally black, except for white whiskers now. At 14, he's developing some gray, and the whiskers went white. And his name is Shadow. And I look at this and right away, oh my gosh, I just, I love kitties for sure. Got a beautiful catch light in the eye. This one has 2. I would have probably removed the top one, just clone it out with black. Now, this is kind of like taking a portrait instead of a snapshot. Our gentleman here has a lovely shirt on with a nice check and all, but look what's happened here. So, when you're taking a picture of a portrait of somebody, you do say, can I fix your hair? Can I touch this? And you do. If the necklace is off to the side, you put it in the middle. If something's askew, you have it fixed. And here I would have just asked for this to go down, maybe because this is the label on the shirt. Just crop that. We don't want to crop off the watch or the other arm or the background, particularly since this goes with kitty kitty. But look at this is really what we want is this part here, the hand and the holding. And you can see the mutual love, the curl here and the little paw over there. And like, yes, Daddy, keep me warm. Louise?
8.
Angel wings.
Yeah. This is another of these minimalist images, and particularly in architecture. Today we're seeing more and more buildings that are looking like all these lines, and then here's another set, and then here, and then inside the windows. So the pattern is what makes this, and the patterns, because there's so many, because up here we've got more. Don't know if this one really adds to it. Don't know if cropping off there to not have that would take away too much from this. So maybe building more of the white in. I don't know. That may be the one thing that takes your eye away from coming in here, which is, your main part where you want to be. So I don't know what would be the answer, but I'd try some things. And we've got nice darkness, nice lightness. The maker handled this very well, because what is upright and having this one right at the edge was very good idea on the maker's part. We've got a few things here that maybe you could have removed, but very well done. Louise?
8.5.
Just be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I could wear those knee socks. I'd try, but I couldn't. Yeah, maybe it's the shorts I couldn't wear. I'd wear the knee socks, but I'd have jeans over them. That's it. But man, she's having fun. This would do very, very well in a photojournalism competition, particularly a human interest competition, which is looking at human emotion and interaction. And you can just see the joy and the happiness and the interaction of being together, and yet the interaction of others on other vehicles of being together as a group. The flag being here, the red, white, and blue here, it's just carried through, and then the red here and another flag. So, and of course we can tell that we've got terracotta roofs. So we're probably someplace around here. Since it's red, white, and blue, we're not in the Mediterranean. But just the general joy of this image, it's not as pictorially strong. So in a pictorial competition, it wouldn't do as well because it doesn't have, the lead in lines, the foreground, what it has is photojournalism. This is great street photography, great photojournalism. Louise?
8.5.
Iceland Aurora.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble with the aurora, but I do see night sky, do see light down in here, and a silhouette. And silhouettes are wonderful to work with. I don't know if in this case, what kind of freedom the maker had. The maker may have been in a vehicle and didn't, or, on a ledge, couldn't walk where, you'd fall in, particularly at night, you've got to be careful. But we've got, the bow of the ship here. And what if the maker had been a little more to the left, maybe would have gotten more of an almost side view, and the bow would have been more prominent. Don't know, but that's something to consider. Obviously, this water is important, significant, and the reflection that we're getting down here. There's a balance between getting a sharp silhouette and the shutter speed you need to get that, and then trying to get enough light to show the stars and to show some of this other color in here, which I guess is, even though it's very pinkish and doesn't have the waves, is the aurora that the person was able to see at that time. I'm thinking it probably should have been a little faster shutter speed, and these stars would have been a little sharper. Louise?
8.
Silver sword.
What, silver what?
Sword.
Ah, okay.
It's that British accent that gets you.
That's it. That's it. Although that's my heritage and that sounds like my mother, I should have remembered, but that's been a long time. So, and then there's accents within. Yes. This threw me in the beginning and probably still does. Yes. We have here a silhouette. If you look at it, this is a silhouette, even though we can see a little bit of the little stem material. Basically, it's a silhouette with the light from all of the pink here that is backlit to give us the pink in here. But then when we get down here, we've got some light coming in. It looks like from this direction. See, it's leaving a little bit of light there, and then providing some light here and in the front. So with it kind of backlit with this, without being backlit, it's too thick. You know, it does give us a silhouette, and yet we've got clouds. So are we up above the clouds? And just how high are we that the clouds are that low and that this plant is here? So this is a strange one, an interesting one. Not exactly sure what this little item is, but I'm sure that this plant is unique and that the maker has made a wonderful memory in this image. Louise?
7.5.
Fading beauty.
Yeah. You know, photographing dry flowers, pressed flowers, dried leaves or petals of flowers. There's a lot of people who specialize in this, and they really make some good subjects. It's not so much what color you have and how they're folding and all. It's the angle at which you shoot them. Usually you'd shoot the rose from above to try and show more of what was happening to it itself. And you would want it to be in focus. Notice that the focus is here where we've got little fuzzy parts, but all of this is out of focus, unfortunately. So it doesn't add a technique to the fading beauty, because what's fading about a rose that it has passed its prime needs to be captured in a sharp fashion. Also, in this case, our negative space isn't adding to this. You know, you can see how this looks almost strangled and cut off too soon, including this. So, you know, if it were sharp, you would probably want to crop it lower like that. So try doing flower from above or from other angles and just make sure that you're focusing on the flower. And if you don't get that focus, you know, it is unfortunate. Louise?
6.
Oh, here we go.
This is my better side.
Yeah. And this is a different one. You can see some things are different, but we still have, look at the detail again in the beak, the detail here around the eye. We don't have the glow because the light isn't going sideways through the eye. We can just see some of the iris, but look at all this. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The maker obviously has a long lens that they have is very sharp and captured all this color. Again, the beautiful tiny pin feathers here, all the feathers in and through and the shine of it. And then all these beautiful feathers back. Now we've got a background that's differential focus. You're not really sure what it is, but it's a beautiful tone that really makes, you know, all the details stand out. Even over here where it's not as muted as here, it doesn't distract at all. So what do we think the score is here, Louise?
9.
Delicate and determined.
Yeah. You know, hummingbirds are just so lovely. We're fortunate to have so many of them around. And, you know, we can even have them in our backyards. We can even cause them to come to us. But photographing them is not that easy. So do we try to get motion in the wings, or do we try to stop the motion in the wings? And usually we get more of their little legs down, but this guy is determined. Often you will get their little tongue out. So you'll get it like this, and then the tongue extending into a bloom. And boy, is that great. The maker got a catch light, which is wonderful. And this is very unique in hummingbirds. Matter of fact, I don't know this one, and usually I do. And I love the spotted chest and the rust and gray, and then the green on the top. So someone will have to share that. And even the elongation of the body to reach in here. It is unique. If you're in nature, a nature competition, you have to make sure that this is not a species of flower that was a hybrid made by man. But if it is something that's that is not, then this would be fine in nature. The beak is a little hot and not as sharp as you might want. I would tend to just we've got such detail and sharpening in here that I would try just a little more, particularly to make sure that the flowers are a little better. Might crop off a little of the bottom. You want to show that the bird is up and not low, but this isn't really doing all that much for it. Louise?
8.5.
Catching the rays of the sun.
Yeah. Okay. Nice to get some of the detail in this leaf from some of the veins that are through it. You can see the leaf is not itself, it's kind of on its last legs. It's got some little rips and tears and it's starting to curl. It doesn't have as much moisture as it needs. But this is about the only part of the image that is in focus. The rest of the leaf isn't. We've got backlighting here that isn't really adding something to it. We've got wonderful detail around the edges of the twigs and the branches from backlighting, which can be good, but it also can take away from something if in fact this appears to be your main subject and then it's backlit and not in focus. And then that leaves us with a oops, or where are we, or what's going on? And there's a lot of other light artifacts here. This kind of needs a rethinking, repositioning, rethought, but when we get these little, these little guys, do try to, just hone in on them. And it may be that you want to be on the side where the light is. Louise?
6.
From here to eternity.
Ah, yes. I should have read the titles. The building is so nice. And remember I mentioned before trying to get 3-dimension. Well, here we've got this face, then this in, then this out, this in. So you get the 3-dimension, and shadows do give you a lot of help in seeing the 3-dimension, particularly as it comes under a roof line. And then, of course, with these upper parts, that gives us even more 3-dimension because they are various shapes and they're back further. So the building itself is just so lovely. And it's at the end of, as you come in and you follow along the fence to the building, it is at the end. We've got a lot of things in the cemetery and some nice flowers out here, but we also can see the crosses outside and then off in the distance, more. So there's a lot here. Now, if you look at it, this, and I'm going to move my little thing. Okay. This
I'm not
line,
seeing your cursor right now.
you're not seeing it?
No, I don't know what happened, but I'm not seeing it on this
I
image.
don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, and it's changed, hasn't it? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, do you see it
There
now?
it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there
Oh,
it
yeah, I
is.
think I must have hit a different thing on my, thank
Okay.
you. Okay, if you look at this side of the building, it's perfectly perpendicular to the side of the image itself.
Mm.
However, because this fence is coming down at an angle, just a slight one, it gives you the feeling that you're kind of going downhill. So I would think that if the maker just did maybe a half a degree down on the left and up on the right, that might help your brain, because your brain says, well, wait a minute, that looks like it's going downhill. Also might add a little light to this. And so a little shadow and highlight might just brighten that just a little and might cause a little bit more detail out there. Louise?
8.
Okay. Now that we've got the cursor back.
Yeah.
Finished for the day.
Yeah. A wonderful subject for a still life. And, you know, during COVID, so many of us did try more still life than they probably ever done. And some people have now become really pretty good at it. And it doesn't have to be, you know, flowers and things like that. It can be where you're working. Look at how well the maker positioned the pad with the little corner up and the shadow, and it didn't merge. Then the magnifying glass with the pen in the right direction, with the glasses, the phone, and look, little golf and a little flag, so sweet. And even having the blinds in that direction. Now, the light is a little hot, particularly right here, here, and up in here. And again, a little shadow and highlight would tone that down, would tone the paper down a little and bring up the lines in it.
Joanne, we're not seeing the cursor again.
Oh, again? Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. I don't, oh, hey,
There-
Yeah.
okay. I
Yeah.
must be hitting it. Thank you. Thank you.
There it is back again. Okay,
So-
got it.
A little shadow and highlight, and these lines in the paper would have shown up a little bit more too. So just a few little things to try. I might have made a stroke that would have been of the dark brown. It would separate it, or maybe the green. But you know, there's nothing wrong with white. Louise?
8.
Serenity.
Yeah. Now, when I saw this, I started to think, okay, should this be in that last section? Because we've got, you know, water drops, we've got little pieces of various kinds of living material reflected in whatever we've got here. And it looks like the maker has created a filter. This probably could be a filter that you could sell, because people are buying filters like crazy. And this is a very nice one. It's almost like 2-in-1. If you cut here, this has kind of one sort of pattern, and then this has another sort of pattern. And, you know, but filters are just so sweet. Matter of fact, I think the whole image, if it was cropped here, might be stronger than, you know, with this part. But, you know, a lovely, very serene, as titled, image. Louise?
8.
Okay, still have the cursor. Okay. Oh, look who we have here.
Courtship.
I'll give you a fish if. Can I take you out to dinner? Okay, it's great that we've got the profile so we can get to see how the, you know, what, how their little top knots and all. The maker has captured, you know, them being together, and we can see the fish in the mouth. So this is a good nature image. In that case, the maker also has gone to a position right across from them. So either they're on their belly or really sitting down low, in order to get this kind of an image where they're right across from the birdies. Sometimes you don't need all of this. You could take off a bit of it so that we still see that you're right across from it. Nice that there's still some blue sky that does set them off, because it sets off the color of the beak. But if you were to take off maybe an inch off the bottom, well, that's on my screen, and maybe a little off each side, it would make both birds larger and have more impact to share the story, the nature story, and the pictorial image. Louise?
8.5.
Big gulp.
Okay, this has got to be La Jolla. I mean, I used to go down there for New Year's Day, many years in a row. And I go and have breakfast up at, what is it? It begins with a B up on the hill, and have the fireplace going, wait for the fog to go. And the minute the fog's down, finish breakfast and run out.
Mhm.
But look at, I mean, you've got so many guys, it could be so confusing and not that strong, but look what we've got here. Look at this guy. Perfect detail. And then look at what he's showing off. So yeah, there's somebody behind, there's somebody here, somebody, but this is what stands out from the crowd. And even this one, this would make a wonderful image as he's pruning away. These other guys aren't all that great, but with this one, you know, you get the sense of all of them together. You see all the beautiful color they've got at this time. And, you know, just, and the nice blue sky and the detail. The maker obviously had a lens that, you know, and they did give a pretty good depth of field, because this guy is just a little bit less, and he's further out. So what do we think this will be, Louise?
9.
Lovebirds.
Oh, here we are again, these guys. So now we have wonderful nesting material and all. And we can even now see some feet. And then we've got the differential focus part, but here it's very clear that we have, you know, a cliff setting with other material much further away. We have detail with this eye, the hairs, all of these beautiful feathers, and then even here. And the color is just magnificent. And look at even the open beak and the open beak. And then, you know, the communication between them. This would do very well in a nature competition. The others that were portraits, you know, of the one, you know, by itself, that doesn't do well because there's not a nature story. The story isn't what color they are, and, you know, that's a portrait. That does well in pictorial. This would do well in pictorial, but in nature, this would do very, very well. Guess what this one has?
9.
Uncontrolled nuclear fusion.
Wow.
Wow. Now, wait a minute, is this 3 Mile Island or? Hey, I mean, I think this is just our regular sunset. This is what we have all the time here, right?
Yep.
So,
Got Lee.
okay, you know, when you see a sunset like this, what you've got to have in your mind is, okay, where am I going to run? What can I put in front of it as a silhouette, or the water with some rocks or some pier, you know, what do you call pilings or something like that. So here, the sunset is the story. I would save this and use the sunset with something else, because this coastline isn't all that clear, the little bit of beach, you know, and then all of this that is nothingness isn't much, and even the top isn't. So save this in your sunset folder and then put it with something else. Louise?
6.5.
Breeding colors.
Yep. So now we go to our pelican friends, and or friend, since we've got one guy. Now, often when we are taking them flying and we are up, and so we're going to get the water can be a distraction. Now here it is soft enough, blended together, and even though there's some light and some dark areas, it's blended together enough. And this guy is just so sharp that he stands out. and particularly all the yellow, the light orange, the red, and again, more in front. And look at the sharpness and the detail all around here. And then the detail all the way to the very, very tip of the beak. Louise?
8.5.
Okay. Now, this is a cute capture. We have a sweet little baby doing something with something that it's eating, and an adult with something that they're eating, whether he's saying something or just yawning. It's cute. We have a man-made background, which you wouldn't want in nature, although you could crop off this part so it wouldn't be as noticeable. But the biggest problem is that this is not sharp. So, so much of it just isn't clear and sharp. A little bit of the face is pretty cute there, and some of this face is cute, but it just isn't. Now you could try doing a little sharpening. Again, I'd use an unsharp mask and see if you could bring something up. My worry is that the focus was more back here, and what you'd bring up more is the cement, and that you really don't want to bring up. The other thing you could try doing is just dropping out all the background, making it black, and then trying to sharpen this. But I don't know if there's enough there to try to save it, particularly for a pictorial image.
And I forgot to give the title. I tell you, it's yummy.
That's what he's saying. Yes, or she's saying. Yeah. Do you remember when the baby Joanne one year? I mean, that's got to be 12 years ago, but at San Diego Zoo, they named the baby Joanne one year.
After you.
Yes, of course, I was sure of it. It's so long ago now, and that baby's probably had several babies. Oh, what was that?
That one's a 7.5.
Okay, into monochrome. Let's see how we're doing. Okay.
Moon fountain.
Okay, in monochrome, not all images make good monochromes. And we just have to know that to start with, and not just figure we can make anything monochrome and it will do well. I can see that the maker was sure that, this was so white, and then it became dark on the sky, and to show off the moon, that gave them the idea. But, it probably is a stronger image in color, and just doesn't really, look at how I'm jumping around up there. Is that my camera? Yeah. Okay, Louise.
6.5.
Oh, kitty.
Feline fine.
Yes. Look at it. We do see all the detail in the pattern and the texture of the fur. And those are two things that you want in a monochrome. Some kind of pattern, some kind of texture. You don't have to have both of them. You don't have to have just one of them. But those are two things that if you have them, really is good for a monochrome. Things like wood that have both pattern and texture. Now here we have a sweet little kitty, but look at, we also have blinds, a plant, light, dark, some kind of something here, something there, and then all this wood. And there's so many things that take away from our kitty. So you can either try cropping it out or something else. It also looks like, this line would be what would be our horizon, and therefore the right would need to come down, the left would need to go up, even though kitty is straight right here. That wouldn't be what you'd look at, because this is just so stand out. But, kitty's so dear, but we've just got so much in the background. The only other thing would be to drop out the top part, just make it all black. Louise?
7.5.
I used to be a contender.
Okay, old vehicles, whether it's a truck, a bus, a tank, a Jeep, whatever, do very well in monochrome. There's usually patterns, repetitive patterns, some sorts of textures, and all of that really helps. In this case, the rope in the front does take away a little bit from this. The fence is okay, it kind of adds, but I think if you were standing in front of this, along with taking this shot, you might try just a close up here, a close up of this. Look at this big gear here. A close up of some of the things in here. Oh my gosh, look at this with all that rope around it. Look at this wheel. You could really work this and try for some detailed things that probably would be very, very nice in monochrome. Louise?
7.5.
Looking good for the ladies.
Yep. Our friend is back. We don't see the mating, plumage, but we do see the wonderful pattern in the head, the wonderful pattern in the feathers, and the preening action. Again, where it's taken in monochrome, maybe this could just be carried out over here so that we're just looking, at the bird and not wondering about just where it is. Louise?
8.5.
Paddle master.
Okay. We have an interesting silhouette and reflection. So a reflection in dark, the boat, the man in silhouette. The action has been stopped, and you can see there is action because there's a bit of a wake. However, a lot of these little shiny things could have been stopped a little bit more. Probably a little bit faster shutter speed would have sharpened these up and might have made this crisp rather than more blurred as it is here. Louise?
6.5.
Reaching for the clouds.
Yeah. Now, this is a magnificent monochrome. We've got pattern. It looks like a texture, but it's a hard texture, metal texture, glass texture. It does go up into the clouds, but try putting your hand and covering this top part up here. It almost looks taller as a building. There'd still be some cloud here, but don't know if you need all this much. If you take off just a little bit, it makes the building look even taller. Louise?
It does, I agree. I got a 9.
Well, thank you for agreeing.
I mean, I experimented
engine
as you
trouble.
said that, and you were right.
Yeah, right. We're having our own conversation
Yes.
here. It's okay.
Engine trouble.
Yeah. Well, you see so many of these little setups and things all along Route 66, which I happen to live on. But I'm wondering about, watch my cursor, see this dark part here that goes up along here and then goes over here and out here. I don't know why that's there. If the image, is in here or down there, then it wouldn't look like, and I know this, that this is, just set up. And also, if you're taking that, then let's not just have a merge with the feet, because then that doesn't look purposeful, and it's an uncomfortable sort of thing. So I would actually bring this crop down, or the border, the stroke down here, and you need a little bit heavier stroke. It's very light at the top and a little heavier at the bottom, which doesn't make sense, but I'd go at least 4 pixels, if not 5. And it's missing some detail in here and in the radiator. It just, and it's not much detail there. So, and maybe even a little bit more shadow and highlight would bring in, let you see what, the face here, and would darken the pants, lighten this, and would really help this a lot. Louise?
6.5.
Fun
Okay.
making bubbles.
Yeah. Our little girl is the subject. She is making bubbles. Think it'd be easier to know she's making bubbles because when images are judged, the title isn't there. If we saw her hand with the bubble maker, and if we could see her face and that kind of thing, I think it'd be stronger. Right now, we got so much plant material here, so much with the leaves all around. It's taking away from, it's distracting from our little cutie. I'm sure if we were just on the other side and maybe in a bit she would turn around. Don't know if the maker knew the child or not. But maybe making a loud noise, she'd turn and you'd click. Please.
7.
Graphic view.
Yeah. This is the kind of image that most of us like. It's very nicely handled tone-wise. You can even see this is very close to the background, and yet look at the detail and everything. So it's nicely handled. We've got the side and the front, and with the tripod that adds, and we've got a nice negative space to set it off. Something very nice for monochrome. I think I would have moved it up a little and not been as tight right down here, left a little bit more of the tripod legs. Louise?
8.5.
Central Park.
Okay, a nice texture that the maker has put on here, but our major concern with this is we have all of these little guys, 6 of them, and the buildings behind, which make a nice image. And then we've got this, which is distracting. So definitely just cropping here so that none of that would be there brings these closer together and makes this a stronger image. Louise?
8.
A tender moment.
Yeah. It's nice that, there's room in front of her as she walks forward. She's very lightly holding the rope, and yet you can see how she's being followed, but she's looking to make sure everything's fine. This is real communication. We've got background that just shows more about, where they are and what they're doing. Louise?
8.
Looking to land.
This may not have been the best for monochrome. Now, obviously, when we're far away, they basically do look black, and they do look like, a silhouette here. But for a monochrome with all of this, it's just taking from it. This almost looks like a monkey's head. Little monkey looking at him, but you can't tell what this is. And looking for a place to land, you'd have something. But for a monochrome image, even if this were lighter and everything, we'd need more detail in here. This would have to be larger. And it just, doesn't have the pixels to make it larger and to be sharp. Louise?
6.5.
Moroccan Serenade.
Yeah. This is a great travel picture. Something that it does show the culture, shows not only an instrument that we don't know that well, but dress that is unique, particularly to an area, and the kind of work that he's doing. My biggest concern with this image is if you look at the side of the wall going here, all these pictures are like that. This is coming down like that. So, the maker concentrated on the man and where he's sitting, and that looks level, but nothing else really is. I would, just switch this, lower the left, raise the right. That way you also would get rid of this. You'd get rid of this thing here. You'd lose some of this, but you don't need that mask. And that would just bring it around a little, and you'd look more in on him instead of thinking that the whole house is falling over. And that would really strengthen it. Oh my gosh, somebody's calling me, and my phone here isn't working.
Mhm.
We're gonna figure it's spam and we'll just let it go. I'm using my phone here to hold my camera. So usually I can go answer, hang up. So, but I'm somebody who lives on 3 floors, so I have phones all over the house. Okay, Louise, what about this one?
7.5.
Okay,
With honor.
yeah. Very well done. The perspective where the maker is in order to get a stone in front and then others behind has been handled very well. And yet also to get this going up and over the hill is nice. Beautiful background of the sky, detail here, and yet the different colors of the different kinds of stone. It is nicely done. This is not immediately in the center. It is off center, which is good. There's so many things, and this does make a good monochrome because of the whiteness and dark. And also there's a little bit of grass there. It's not touching. Louise?
8.5.
Serenity in still life.
Yeah. We can use different ceramic pieces in still life. What you need to do is then have a collection, have a grouping, and you arrange them. Then it becomes your art. Right now, this is a photograph of somebody else's art. And a lot of times there are controversies over if you're taking a photo of somebody else's art. But if you have arranged them, then you've made a still life that makes, an artistic display. Here we've got one piece, which I would think in color, maybe even stronger. And we don't see the base that it's on. And so the lighting isn't what it could be. You can see that sunlight got through here, but not enough. So it's kind of like it's sitting up in the air. We've got this much here and this much on this side. I would like to encourage this maker to really take this and other pieces you might have and put them together in a nice still life. Louise?
6.5.
Schizophrenic ice.
What kind of ice?
Schizophrenic ice.
Ah, yes, that's true. Okay, we've got rocks and I can see the crystals that we've got, here on the wall. But, whether you stop the motion of something, whether it's liquid or it has ice particles in it or not, whether you stop the motion or you let it go is always a question, and it depends on where, when, why, what.
Mhm.
And then all of this down here, it doesn't communicate that much. And yes, it is schizophrenic. Louise?
7.
Okay, we're going to go into night.
Light show at the Arc de Triomphe.
This is great night image. The illuminated arch, and it's, notice, not right in the center. You look in here and then there it is. And then all these wonderful colors of the taillights and the headlights, then there's the street lights, the decorations lights, and then these big ones, which normally wouldn't be all that great, but in this kind of an image for this kind of a topic makes it quite nice. Louise?
8.
Washington Monument.
Okay, now here we've lost a lot of the detail in the monument. We've got some of it in the top with the windows and lights, but we've lost a lot in here. A lot of this is reasonably blown out. As a matter of fact, this is very out of focus, as is this. You don't know what it is. This might have been better as a vertical image because what you're really shooting is vertical. Now, where the maker was, they may have wanted to show a whole bunch more, but at night, you really don't get much out of these pieces that are out of focus. So a nice vertical probably would have been stronger. Louise?
6.5.
Probably not the right shutter speed.
Ferrolitas Christmas Eve, Canyon Road.
Oh, we needed to know that, to know where to go.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I
We'll
love
see you all
these
there
bags.
next year.
Yeah, right. I love these bags when they're done. Oops, somebody turned this one around and got the seam on that side. Really nice. If you look at the grouping in the front, they're close enough we can see them. This one, we almost see too much in. It's questionable whether this helps or distracts from it. If they were really nice and clear, each one, some of them are starting to burn out, where these are reasonably well done. Probably, a crop of just some of these, or maybe, just a couple here would have been a little stronger. Louise?
7.
It was night though.
Yeah.
Sidewalk delicacy.
Yes. It's a little difficult to tell that this is night. I'm figuring that it was. And that now this person is walking along the streets wherever this is, and they're watching this man torch something to death. But we don't really know it's night. Notice also, you really got to look at when angles like this, start to go off and all. Better to just even crop it. But for the category, I just don't think it really is strong enough. I think if we were looking at night photography for this, we'd be out further and see more of the hustle and bustle under the artificial light or something like that. Just my feeling about the interpretation of the category. I may be wrong. Louise?
6.5.
Twilight.
Yeah. Now, definitely this is night. Look at how pretty blue this is. And then off with the lovely peachy sky. So, right, it's night. It's the twilight part of night. And this area has lights along the wall, as well as the twilight coming through to give us some nice silhouettes. Louise?
7.
Moon over Laguna Beach.
Okay, we got moon and a few little stars. It's very bright. So unless this maker threw their headlights on this, this is like more than light painting. I mean, there's lights coming out of, up here, but this is really bright and everything. We know it's the moon, but it's, it's kind of bright. Don't know if this is, really a pretty picture. When you look at compositions, you look and say, do I want this in it? Do I want this in it? And if I want the moon, there's other ways to get the moon that's not as glowing. A lot of people go and fill their screen with beautiful and get all the craters and everything. So, Louise?
6.5.
Thank you.
Times Square.
Yeah, you can look up here. It's Broadway. Now, when you've got a reflection, whether it's a lake, a puddle, whatever it is, you really want to always go to the top of one and then go straight down to the top of, the other. Whoop. So it's where the maker was standing that this is going off. So the maker needed probably to move a little to the left to line it up. So, like this crease here goes with this, but it doesn't really. And then over here, it's a little more. So, you just want to line up a reflection always. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. This is nice for topic for night, and particularly in Times Square to get all of the, all the billboards and the neon and all that kind of stuff. Louise?
7.5.
Tower Bridge on a Black Night.
Yeah, this is a very dark night. And yet we can see the structure. We can see a lot of the lights that are giving, gold look to this. And on a black night, you don't have, that much in the sky. Some of this is a little warmer than it should be. Again, I would have used a little shadow and highlight to try and tone down the hot spots and maybe bring out a little more detail. Louise?
7.5. Oh, yeah.
Death Valley Stars.
Yeah. Now, this is night photography. Beautiful light painting to bring out this green, the orangey colors here. Nice angle so we get to see the 3-dimension. Beautiful distance, some nice color peeping out here. And we've got nice sky. The stars aren't that blurred, even though we've got one little meteor movement in there. Just this is like the epitome of a night shot. Guess what, Louise?
9.
San Clemente Pier.
Yeah. It's nice that we've got some light on the beach. We've got the lights that are in the on the dock. And you can tell that everything's closed down. The umbrellas are down, batten down the hatches for the night. And we've got the lights. You can see that there's almost fog off in the distance, but probably a little bit less, see how sharp it is in here. And then out here, we've lost it somewhat distance, somewhat perhaps fog, but we probably, when you're doing this, try different shutter speeds. Don't just take one, and then you might blend 2 together, 3 together. But if you just go and take one and then later on go home and go, oh, that's a little fuzzy out there, isn't it? Louise?
8.
Balls of Fire.
Yeah. Wonderful sunset that is thrown up some wonderful red colors into the clouds, and definitely, a night sky with some silhouettes down here. It's probably a sky to put in a folder so you could use it someplace else. Louise?
8.
Illumination shows the way.
Yeah. Look at the detail we've got here. Even though it's black night, the lighting along the walkway, all of the lighting that's available, you do know it's night. The one thing is, and I guess I've kind of mentioned this, you're going to think that's all I talk about. But if you look at this and how close this is to the edge and how close this is to the edge, this is more to the right and this is more to the left. And if you just straighten this up, and all you have to do is, oh God, what's it under? You're going for perspective,
Right.
or you can go to rotate and go rotate arbitrary. And I'd start with 2.0 counterclockwise and see what you come up with. And that would really, really work this. However, Louise,
8.5.
here we go.
Disney at night.
Oh, it's Disney. Oh, Disney Hall. I was going to say, which Geary building is this? Well, I read that. I would have known. I've spent a lot of time with the one that's in Las Vegas, and I guess I'm more partial to that, but I've not been there at night. Beautiful the way we've got all these different shades and the textures and all together. You can tell it's night. You can tell there's artificial light, but it gives you just a wonderful feeling and sense. Louise?
9.
Okay, we go to the fun. Now,
Beautiful morning at La Jolla.
yeah, and guess what? I couldn't see if this was a composite or what this was. So my question is, if something's been done, I can't tell. I mean, we've got, pelicans here and pelicans flying in. So I'm thinking, was that put in? Is that a composite? No. And I'm looking around for other things. So whatever was done, maybe when we're finished, the maker can tell us. But, it's a lovely picture. It doesn't have to have something done. Louise?
8.
The Jump.
Yeah. Now, this is the kind of thing that I would hope there was actually something wrong with the original image, where the maker, it was either too blurry or something, and then the maker has taken a beautiful treatment and added a texture, used a filter to save an image that may not have been all that great. And it's got great motion, great everything. If looking at how close it is here, I'd probably just take off just a tad along the top. But this is the kind of treatment, this may be a little more treatment. I think maybe I would have pulled back on it 10, 15% of what was used, but it works. Louise?
7.5.
Curves of a 49.
Yeah. I remember that. Is that when the doors used to open
Yeah.
forward? Remember those days?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to tell on this one if it's
You can't tell. Yeah. and then the
suicide
law
doors or a
changed
single
that
door.
They
Yeah.
had to open backwards. I
Yeah.
remember as a kid, parents explaining
Mm.
that and going, oh, okay,
Mhm.
things change. But nice, making the lighting just so appropriate, that's a nice expression for this. Louise?
8.
Playful Dolphins.
Oh, really? See, I would have had to read the title, but I don't do that because I'm looking at the image. I wondered what on earth this was. I could see some, lines in here showing some texture. And I thought, this maker's either worked in, not channels. It's, where you can play with it and, make all the colors different. But if that's a dolphin and that's a dolphin and that's a dolphin, I don't know. And I don't know if turning at 90 degrees counterclockwise would put this on the bottom and that on the top. I don't know if that would have done anything. It's nice and colorful, but I don't know because you can't really tell what it is. It doesn't look like the enhancement has enhanced it. Louise?
7.
Beautiful Blossoms.
Do, 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 do. Okay, let's get some pictures here.
Mhm.
Okay, can you bring some people in on the side, including me?
Oh, you want to do the,
A
okay.
screenshot,
Oh.
Yeah,
please.
let me put, let's see, who else do we need to have live?
Well, you and Rodney.
Yeah, how about Joel, Rick, anybody that's on there? Can you briefly turn on your video button so we have more people paying attention to the,
Yeah, right. Watch, everybody's now closing it down. They don't want to be photographed. Oh, and I don't know who the maker is, and if the maker could be there.
I don't think we can tell you yet.
Right, you can't
I
tell.
don't actually have that
Okay,
information.
good.
Okay,
Rodney, can you bring your face up a little more?
Well, certainly. I
Yeah,
can't
there.
see myself.
Okay, can somebody take the screenshot?
yeah, I'll do it right now. Let's see if we can get all the way from here to down here. Okay.
You
I
got
think
it?
that should do. Move it over
Mhm.
here.
Done?
Yeah, except it's not behaving itself.
Of course not.
Yeah, if I could tune that light, I tried, it has different ranges and I couldn't
Yeah.
get it, but at the top.
I'm looking to see. Yeah, you're like the 1, 2, 3, fourth one down on the right. You're pretty bright in it.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll use shadow and highlight.
Yeah. Oh, there.
When you
Now-
send it to
now
me,
it-
I'll work on it.
Yeah, and now I moved it. It's fine now. I think it was confused whether I was trying to do something on Zoom or trying to move the screenshot. So,
I can
Okay.
also just burn in my face.
yeah,
Okay,
we're in business.
this is absolutely lovely. And my phrase that I wrote was the image of the evening.
Ah,
This is just, look at the composition. we're going from, whoops, no, see, okay, I lost my cursor. As we come in and sweep over, look at the beautiful line there. It's a very soft S, but we've got threes, this blossom, this blossom, this bud. And we've got it in the background, but very soft so you don't see it. And yet we've got other pieces of green and everything that have been handled so well that they are just textured in and out. The maker gave us a nice soft pink stroke. I'd like the maker to try more this kind of a little darker magenta, like here, or maybe in here. Just try that. So, because this is very soft and maybe 1 pixel wider. But this is something I can see people wanting to put on a wall. I think it's very saleable and absolutely lovely. Also, this maker and anyone else who's interested in flowers, there is a Facebook group run by a friend of mine, Debbie LaFavor, who lives in Anaheim Hills, and it's called Debbie's Photo Flower Group.
She's done a showcase for us, and we even did a shoot with her out in the Carlsbad flower fields.
Good. Yep. So Debbie and I actually went to Tri Community College together, learning Photoshop way back in the days. And then she was president of Anaheim Camera Enthusiasts, ACES. And I would go down and judge for them there. And she has this wonderful Facebook group, which I belong to, and I highly recommend, and I'd love to see this there. And if the maker doesn't want to do it, but gives me permission, if you then send it to me, I would post it to say that, you know, I had judged with you guys tonight and wanted to share this with them. Okay. Another thing, if you're interested in flower photography, Harold Davis, he spoke at the PSA conference in Colorado Springs. And I just had him this Saturday speak for the International Federation of Photographic Art. And that will be on YouTube in about 2 to 3 weeks. And Louise, I'll send you that link so you can share it with people.
Okay.
He has developed some techniques for photographing translucency in flowers. And actually, Debbie has learned some of those techniques and has tried teaching them to other people so that you can use a light pad and other things to, you know, do translucency with petals. Okay. Oh, I don't want to leave this one. I have to.
You gave it a 9+.
Yes, yes.
Frozen.
What's the title?
Frozen.
Yes. I love this idea of using ice cubes and then having a little puddle as well as the reflection of the ice cube and the flower. And I would think that this would be something to be shared in Debbie's flower group, because I think a lot of other people who take photos of flowers would love to try making ice cubes of some things with flowers. And just seeing how the leaves are in there and all, and how the petals are in there, very creative. Louise?
It is a 7.5.
Okay.
Mystical Arrival.
Yeah. This is a great composite. Very well done. It doesn't look like it's on top. Looks like it could be, you know, easily there. Nice that it's coming in with the lead-in line and there's more room to go forward into the building. You know, very, very well put together. Louise?
8. It's harder to find
Ice.
the names on this one.
Ice Storm.
Yeah. I think if the maker had been able to get one tree, particularly like here with all the branches, or 2 it might have been stronger. Here, it's just so together. It just kind of looks like, a mash, say, particularly down in here, where here, because we've got the trunk, and the lighting with the trunk and all, and this behind, it's stronger. I think, cropping here and removing this whole part here would be a lot stronger. Louise?
It is 7.
Entropy.
Yeah, this is so powerful. The impact of the color and the shapes and all. Don't know how this was created, long as it wasn't created in the computer. There's wonderful shapes and lines and all that, and then just this little bit of green inside. Looks like you could burrow down in there, and it looks like it has direction. Great impact. The stroke really sets it off. It's very well done. Louise?
8.5.
Freedom in motion.
Yeah. Obviously we have a nice direction of all of our little horsey friends. There's nice room above, but it is kind of a shame that we're very close here. It's just a crop that's just a little tight. But I think this treatment, it probably could be pulled back, 5-10%, but it's nice to, give it a sense of movement and texture. Louise?
8.
Dana Point Grand Prix.
Yeah. And for this kind of an image, this kind of a technique, which just, really makes the colors of each of the jackets and the names and all of that really stand out, is good. Because obviously it's cropped very tight and all, but once it has a treatment, then that puts it into a different category, and then you're looking more at the colors and shapes and all of that. Louise?
8.5.
Natural arrangement.
Yeah, and I can't really tell, again, kind of like the seals on the beach, just what was done here. Now it says arrangement in that title, so maybe this was placed with this. I don't know if they particularly go together. I think this is stronger, although it's kind of past its prime with the leaves, and some of the blossoms aren't as strong as they could be. But this is so light and white, and it just doesn't go with it at all. They're competing with one another. They're fighting with one another. And I can't really tell what was done to make it a little different. Louise?
It is 6.5.
Okay.
That concludes.
Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the share if I can. I think I have grabbed.
And watch my arrow go down to a regular arrow. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Joanne.
Okay, so who
Yeah.
did the flower arrangement?
I think, Rodney, do you have that?
Not right in front of me.
Betty
no.
Harper.
Yeah. that's
Oh,
what I
Betty
thought.
did.
Eddie, are you here?
Betty Harper.
Yeah, she was there.
Oh, did you?
Betty Harper.
We got that, George, but is
Yeah.
Betty there with you? Or we see you? Oh, he's stuck in space.
Yeah, he's frozen. Oh, I hope she didn't leave before. Oh,
I don't see her still up there, but
Can you hear me?
now
Yes.
we can. Is Betty there with you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Joanne was just expressing that she hopes Betty's there to hear all these accolades. Oh, I hear her. She's laughing.
oh. So
I
she's in the
appreciate that.
background. She's on the
Yes.
other side of the bridge. Oh, cool. So you guys have a new website.
Yes,
Yes.
we're working on it. It's getting its bugs worked out, but it's far superior to the past.
What software did you go with?
Let us see if we have,
We went with WordPress.
Okay,
is Jack on here? I'm looking.
No, Jack is on vacation at the moment.
Oh, I think I knew that. And let's see, how about,
what did you have before?
John was on here earlier.
Oh, it was something that was developed back in like 2009 or 2010.
Oh, and it was a proprietary,
No,
Yeah.
it was Macromedia,
Yeah.
developed
Okay.
by Macromedia.
because the chapter has had GoDaddy from the time it came out, with the ad on
Yeah.
Super Bowl. And it's getting old. And even if we went with their updated version, it'd take us forever to move everything over.
Right.
So the chapter's looking for a new program. We've got about 2 years to
Yeah.
do something, but we better decide soon.
Right.
Jack Salvador helped us. He's the
Yeah.
one we contracted with. He's also a member of our club. So
Okay.
he's done a great job on putting it all together.
Okay, what's his last name?
Salvador.
How do you spell it?
Salvador.
Oh, okay, the way you would think. Okay.
Guys can get that information over to her, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
if you could send his email address, I'd love to write with.
Oh,
write
here,
to
I,
him.
I can put it on here. I'm sending you your picture.
Yeah, oh, and you're sending the picture, good.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Oh, yes.
I'll add Jack right now.
I have a question. What flower arrangement you were talking about?
The one, the pink,
Ah, okay.
That was gorgeous.
it was near the end.
Yes.
Yeah, artistic expression.
I have to remember that it's not a term that I'm used to using.
Well, we kind of made it up.
Isn't that the best way?
Could you give us Debbie Flower Group, her or the email address again?
Well, it's a Facebook thing. If you just put in DEBBIES, it's not a Y, IES, Debbie's Photo Flower Group. And
Okay.
Facebook, it'll pop up.
Thank you.
It drives me nuts with my shoes.
And also, if you are on Facebook, if you put in PSA Southern California, up will pop the chapter. And that's where I post usually every other day, some photo activity of PSA members in Southern California. So from San Diego up to San Luis Obispo, out to, Palm Springs or Coachella Valley. And so it doesn't have to be a PSA activity. It's any activity, particularly volunteer activities and things like that.
Louise, are you sending that to us?
I'm sending the photo and Jack's contact information.
Okay, I was just wondering if you were going to send us what Joanne just was talking about.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sending this to Joanne for her. to
Yeah,
put
I'll
on
send you,
Facebook.
well, Louise, Debbie's Photo Flower Group.
Yeah, I
and I'll
do.
send you the chapter URL.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
if you've got that kind, I've got her website's information. Yeah. Okay, good.
Any other questions?
So, thank you. It was lovely. Good
Yes.
bunch of detail and
You mean I didn't use just little phrases?
everybody's
that
different, but
spreadsheet. Oh my God.
Yeah.
it's, this is how we learn. And
Yeah.
it's really valuable to
Mhm.
us to get these opinions, expert, viewers.
Mm.
And I was going to say something else about it, but now my old brain is not functioning. So anyway, yeah, you did a good job. And I know what I was going to say. I'm happy that Rodney was able to work out for you to use your own mouse, because I think there will be other judges and other times during Zoom events where that would be really useful to know how to do.
You know how difficult it was for me to sit here without touching my keyboard. Or
Oh, yeah, I'll
mouse.
bet.
And every now and then I'd just barely touch the mouse and it'd pop to the next picture. It's
And
like,
I
no,
was-
no.
And I was moving down the score sheet and afraid I was going to screw something up in my stuff.
Thank
We
you,
got it
Rodney and
coordinated.
Louise.
It worked out well, so thank
Yes.
you. And thank you, everybody who attended. It's nice to
Yes.
see you all.
Indeed, and we need to get more people to submit to the next critique. We want more people participating. So
Yeah.
please, if you're here tonight and didn't participate, please participate next time.
Okay. Good.
And when I think that I used to drive all the way down
Yep.
and I'd have dinner ahead of time. I mean, I remember having dinner with Lydia Savadoff,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
a dear friend, and we'd have dinner ahead of time, and with Bowerman, Jeanette Bowerman.
Hmm,
And we go out to dinner and then judge, and then I'd be driving back in the dark late at night.
Mhm.
And so I'd get back here at 10, 10:30, 11. And, I'm not doing that anymore, just, for safety's sake, much
Right.
less anything
Yeah.
else. And then I
Thank
remember
you,
a lot of times
Joanne, for
coming down on
joining
a
us.
Saturday for a year end, for Prince or whatever in a different building and all. Yeah, spent lots of time there.
Yeah. It's been around a while.
Mm.
Well, thank you very much. We enjoyed